All right, Cyber Traders, good afternoon and welcome on back here this Tuesday, June 29th. We got a hell of a morning, hell of an afternoon lined up for all of us here inside our live trading room. Great to see Stephen, Robert, Norman, Sharon, Bonnie, Ray, Robert, all of our students, like I'd said just before, live inside our trading room. And for all of us in social media, Facebook Live and YouTube, welcome on back. So, without further ado, we're going to start with the stock on the screen as always, but man, we had a bunch of runners today. Outside of this PBTS here, we've had the MRIN breaking new highs, the BSQR, of course. Don't forget about ORPH even. That even ended up making a pretty decent bounce at first. Workhorse, CERE, we have so much to go over, and that's outside of Bitcoin. Right, I know I was kind of alluding to that even as well. I'd be showing Bitcoin at least over the last few days since the weekend. I didn't really show it yesterday, so let's hop right into it. PBTS, we're just going to add to our list right off the bat, given the afternoon move. Give me a quick sec there. PBTS, writing that down. Stock, as you can see, has trailed up practically since the market opened up today. It was more of a pre-market play initially. We were looking at this little spotty chart, but it was up enough for us to catch our eye early in pre-market. But man, really, as soon as the market opened up, it was kind of off of lower volume too, but ended up beginning to spike up towards 173, ended up breaking higher and essentially running from that point. But right now is the better move. So PBTS, the only concern I have on this trade right now, it's going to be the concern that I'll say for most stocks that we're going to be putting on our list, to be honest. See if it's a low float or not. It's a 39.39 million share float. That's actually not too low. Spreads are good. Liquidity is great. So for right now, easily enough, put this on our main watch list, the PBTS. I did check Benzinga Pro right before we started this meeting. Unfortunately, don't have news. So either way, we don't need to have news to trade this stock, but nonetheless, it's pushing up at the highs. You would assume the next major resistance to be off of 250. I don't really check to see if there's anything on the daily chart here at least, but otherwise 250, you could see order on the ask, is there currently. This kind of looks like right around 285, 283 perhaps back from April of this past year, holding as support before this huge, pop and drop day, but even that's a ways away. So, that could be a long shot, but otherwise 250 next major level here on this PBTS. I actually like the fact that this isn't really too low float, or at least not, low compared to some of the others here, like MRIN we'll talk about next. Again, CERE, that's actually also a non really too low float stock. We'll talk about that next. But MRIN, man, when the stars could align, a low float stock could really pay off. Of course, from yesterday afternoon, we talked about that pretty extensively inside our Traders Talk workshop. We did that earlier on this morning. But for right now, at least heading into today, to see this stock drop off after the market opened up was not surprising. I was expecting that. I was expecting a much bigger drop off compared to what we got. So at the end of it all, I didn't trade this MRIN at all myself. I had a pretty good day, just wasn't on this trade. So for anyone that did watch this more intently going into the mid to late morning, it paid off for you. Ended up breaking out over 910-ish. That seemed to have been a pre-market level leading into the open, and obviously from there flew up, got halted on the way up. It looks like once, if not twice, and then even for right now, pushing up towards 13 even. I'm so reluctant putting such a heavily traded low float stock on our watch list here. I mean, I say that 261 million shares for a 10 plus million share float stock. I mean, just yesterday, the stock ended up making that big pop in the after hours. So is it possible it could do it again today? Well, this ended up proving me wrong once again this morning. I mean, I put it on our list, but I wasn't really expecting this sharp of a pop as fast as we had it. So, it could certainly prove me wrong again. And, for that reason, I'll put this on our list here still, the MRIN trade. Give it a quick focus to see if it could break out over 13, more importantly, and really build off there before it could perhaps run higher. So that's the hope. If we don't get that, then I wouldn't look to trade it. But for right now, we'll put it on our list. All right, so the CERE trade's next. CERE, I got to check back on this scan because this one shows the float. But man, I've never traded this stock before, and I forgot the news on this stock, so I apologize for the ignorance there. But stock was moving up really nicely in pre-market. It's just one that I'm not really familiar with. So with that, I've been doing this for close to 7 years, literally every day, Monday to Friday. Barely take a sick day. So, I know my stocks, just I've never traded this before. Maybe it's a new IPO. So I go back on the daily chart. If I can, this thing's like freezing up my screen here even. Relatively new stock back from, midway through 2020. All right, that's fine. So that's perhaps the reason why I never really traded it before. But if you look at the float, oh, it's the outstanding shares. Whoops, give me a quick sec. The float's basically 100 million shares. That's a lot, especially for a stock that we're not really too familiar with live inside our trading room. So, it's pushing up, breaking all-time highs. It has since the open here today. Really pre-market, it broke that all-time high off the spike after 8:30. But, for right now, it's still at those highs, moving on up seemingly towards 29. So for any of our level 4 to 5 traders out here, I'd put this on your list, the CERE trade. And we'll keep it just right here, I guess. BSQR. We'll jump back to the main gainers and losers list here in just a moment. This is just a separate scan. But the BSQR, another one, right? Ended up making a big slingshot shortly after the market opened up. This one played to pretty much how I expected it to move. It's trending down leading into the open, so I knew it wouldn't have popped right out the gate. It ended up dropping off and consolidating, and I ended up catching it. It's so sad to say this, just like given the move up here after, but I was in this trade from 4. Thankfully, it was a double-sized position, 2,000 shares, but off that crazy pop right around 10 o'clock, I didn't know where this was going after. Obviously up after since, but, I ended up getting like 35 or 39 cents on the trade. I was very content with that, mind you, but, dropped off. This thing has been all over since. So this stock's trading 181 million shares right now. Reminds us of a very similar stock from yesterday, MRIN, which we just talked about. Hey, given the activity here, it's hard for us to not put this on our list, right? And the stock for right now definitely has great liquidity. BSQR. And we have so many of these over the last month, really, between this, the MRIN trade, ALF. If you gave me another couple minutes, I'm not going to do this right now in front of you. I could probably remember the rest of them. But, let's see what else we got, though. Otherwise, folks, we'll go from top to bottom here in just a moment. The workhorse trade, I wanted to jump to that actually first before I really push, but oh no, I didn't see this big shake. Damn, ended up just dropping off quite a bit. This workhorse stock, it was popping up pretty nicely into the afternoon meeting, so I was going to come to this. Of course, here I am now, and that sucks to see this big shake, this big drop. Perhaps a higher low building. Perhaps this could make another move back up later on this afternoon. But, a stock that we had on our list, right? We did pretty well on the trade early in pre-market. After the open, it didn't give us the breakouts, the steady uptrend and, the higher highs. It gave us the lower lows and the lower highs. But if you're able to follow the levels, we talked about this in Traders Talk, so I'm not going to really dive into it further. But, off of 1710 initially, that was a really strong level. Ended up jumping in from 1710, took a 2-cent loss, and then I flipped that again. I jumped back in and got in for about like 30 or 20 cents, whatever I said. I think 19 cents actually. So I don't want to oversell myself there, but ended up beginning to push up, is giving us re-entries on the pop back up, and then on the way back down as a great short opportunity heading into the mid-morning. So workhorse here, as long as you're able to get the shares, perhaps could have been a great trade both ways throughout the morning into the afternoon. And obviously now, just as much as it was looking good on the way up, just pulled back quite a bit off 1760. I'll come back to this stock. It's one that we're pretty familiar with. I was pretty keen on putting this on our list if it was holding up, but maybe I'll come back to it at the end. All right, so we'll see what else we got here, folks. We'll go from top to bottom. I am in, as long as I didn't get stopped out on OCGN, 2 trades. I'll talk about those in just a moment. One of them maybe I'll put on our list, but it might be too late for an entry now at this point. So we'll see what else is out there. We have BSQR, CERE, MRIN. We talked about all 3 of those already. We got warrants otherwise, right? So PBTS, that too. And BLIN. All right, so wow, this is pushing up pretty nicely. Familiar name at least. We've seen this stock pop in the past. Ended up dropping off subsequently after. But, for right now, this stock is pushing up really nicely on the intraday chart. Broke over 350. It's starting to get a little shaky around that 350 here. So I don't know. I'll put it on our list. Just be a little careful to see the volume drop off. I say it all the time, so I may as well say it here. But, when the volume drops off, so does the stock. So I'd be careful on that. Brian says here in Live Inside Cyber Group, just checking out the chat pretty quick. He says PBTS shook hard. Oof. Oh. Oof. Right off of good old 250, right? 248, the high of the day there. So I told you resistance was right off at 250. I wasn't really expecting this big ass shake here. So, it just goes to show that at least you should never look to buy right under resistance. Perhaps this can make one final slingshot coming up, but man, with the selling coming in just now, to be honest with you, it doesn't look as likely. But on the flip side, we talked about this one also, just checking out the chat board here. Debbie and Pat and Greg, and we're all talking about it otherwise. On the way up, this broke out over 13, didn't it? Huh. So one crapped out, one popped up completely to break a new high. That's pretty interesting. All right, so we'll keep both on our list. That PBTS though, maybe we'll check back in at the end if it's really down and like not looking that great. Probably like scratch it from our list from there. All right, so BLIN we talked about. We'll put that on our list for the meantime. The XELA trade that leads me to. I say it that way because I'm in this stock right now. This is one of the two stocks I am currently in. The stock is pretty low float and for it to be trading close to 300 million shares across the day, you would like to think it's going to be pretty exhausted. So I was waiting on this stock across really the whole day. I took a loss on this stock for like 2 cents. It was on 4,000 shares earlier off of 210. And that was the level we were talking about going into the open. All right, hands up. I took a loss there. It was on a large share size. All right, well, right now I'm in on this trade from 191 on the same share size here. Right now I might look to just take 1,000 out just to be smart so this doesn't crap out while I go through the rest of the picks. So I actually just did that really quick. I closed at market 204, but still got 3,000 shares left. So we'll see if this stock can continue pushing up. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if this stock can make another big pop for like 20, 30, 50 cents. I don't know if I'm looking for that here. If I can get another 5 or 10 cents from 191, I'll be really content. That was kind of my feel going into the trade. So, just because I'm in it doesn't mean I'm going to put it on our main list. I mean, full disclosure, I'm in it from 191, but maybe I'll come back to this trade at the end. All right, so XELA and Workhorse we have on our side list at least. All right, we'll see what else we got. WEI popped going into the late morning, early afternoon. Man, the SPY's dropping off quite a bit just over the last 10, 15 minutes, really. Zoom out here on the 5-minute chart. AVGR, familiar name, just not a whole lot going on there. So we'll kind of pass. See if there's any other familiar names here on the gainers end here, but otherwise with the market down, there might be some stocks that are just breaking lower here or at least down a lot. Focus on Jinko Solar. It's been more of a swing trade of late. Popped up, I think, from earnings like a week ago. All right, so that just about does it from the gainers end here, folks. Fun, PHUN. Check this one out here, I guess. But yeah, that's it. We'll hop over to the losers list, see if there's anything looking just as good, if not better. We'll talk about Bitcoin at the end, and then we'll wrap it up. This MDWD stock, and this was a dud. I mean, really, for as much down as it was, I was pretty interested in it either way. We were saying it was shortable in TradeStation, so if it ended up dumping off going into the mid to late morning, perhaps that could be a short. It did kind of do that, but I wasn't really interested in the stock as much. I mean, the others took more of my interest there. Space is getting killed. Holy smokes. So this might just be moving with the market. I don't know if there's any short report on this stock of late. I'm going to check Benzinga Pro pretty quick. So Space shares trading lower as the stock. All right, 1 second. Shares trading lower as the stock pulls back after spiking last week following. Okay, yeah, that's not really bad news. I'm just kind of commenting on the pullback after last week's spike. So this might just be dropping off with the market. That's the only real reason I have here with this trade otherwise. But there is a gap on the daily chart. I just want to show that really fast on the daily. You can just see pretty quick. I mean, there's pre-market activity, after-hours activity perhaps included in that gap, but otherwise that is a gap on the daily chart to work off of. So yeah, Space definitely will put on our list. More expensive, but familiar name. All right, ENG. Oh man, this thing's freezing up my platform right now. Between that, the screen sharing software here for the meeting. All right, let's see what else we got. I think we're going to wrap it up otherwise, though. AHT at least is a familiar name. UXIN, familiar name here, just skimming the loser side. Oh man, how about VBIV down 10%? That was on the gainer side to start the pre-market. UXI and not a whole lot going on there. Tradable and just a little slow. HT also, same thing, although this is trending down pretty nicely as we speak. Wasn't VBIV on the pre-market list? I put that on the pre-market watch list this morning, I believe. Yeah, this was up like 5 to 6% in pre-market trading this morning. I don't know what the news was. I don't care to check right now. As you can see, dropped off right away, and that was it. But just goes to show you can't throw a dart on the wall and hope it lands based off of any sort of news. All right, so we're all saying MRIN's reopen, and Pat's saying the open print was off of 1429. Holy smokes, this thing is flying. On the way up to 15 presumptively. Hit a high of 1496, I think, or 1495. You would assume for there to be a huge iceberg order off of 15. I don't have my level 4 open right now, but, just 100% I'm going to be right there. The 63,000, 64,000 shares at least from level 3 here alone, the matrix. All right, cool. Greg says 150,000. Pat says 144,000 right now on the ask. All right, cool, even more. Folks, let me know if there's anything up, down, left, right, more than 5% that you would want me to look at, check out here before we wrap things up. I'm going to look at Bitcoin at the end. Don't worry. Always get emails, actually, from a couple of us, not a lot of us on YouTube, but, a couple of us every week, actually, asking about Bitcoin here and there. So I write you folks back, and then every now and then I like to show the chart. You know what? Market's down right now. I'm going to flip Benzinga over to the losers signals just to see any stocks that are breaking new lows of the day, not highs of the day. We got a bunch. We got a bunch of familiar names. I mean, expectedly so, right? With the market dropping off as sharply as it has. UAVS looks slow, just a familiar name breaking lower. MVIS, nice drop off at least here, roughly from 1840. It's on the way down seemingly to 18. Palantir, perhaps. Palantir is at the low of the day. This stock's shortable. Not down that 5% or more, but I don't really care. That looks pretty good. All right, so we'll add Palantir to our main watch list, seemingly dropping off the market so far. Probably add a lot of stocks if that's the case, but we're going to focus on the more volatile ones, the ones that provide the best opportunity, but the ones that look the best, ultimately, in terms of the order book, the trend. It's on the way down to 21. This AAL trade. Otherwise, I'd say for a $21 stock, it's kind of slow. Palantir is moving a lot better, similar price. From Brian inside Cyber Group asking about PBTS, asking about the bounce on there. So yeah, PBTS is still on our list. That nasty shake I was kind of detracted by, but hey, it led to a nice squeeze so far. So hopefully there is one more clean run left on this trade to break higher, perhaps. All right. Oh man, some big profits coming in on the MRIN trade live inside Cyber Group. Kathleen ended up getting $1.50. She was in from $13.45, and Andrea just got over $1 himself, 109. He was in from $13.69 on his trade. Congratulations to both of you. I mean, I would say very wise exits. I mean, just to be up over $1, I would pluck the profit right away. Especially with this last shake here. Especially for as much as it popped over the last 3 to 4 days. Hey, it proved me wrong. It broke out over 13 cleanly, made this huge pop and run that we were able to make money on. When's it going to drop? You got to keep asking that question, folks, because for as much as these stocks pump, the dump off is going to be twice as hard or twice as fast. It's going to get halted and make this big gap down after. You don't want to get stuck in that. That's all I'm saying. Wow, really? From Debbie live inside Cyber Group, she's saying E-Trade won't even let her buy PBTS. They're restricting the trading. That's happened before. It's not often, but TradeStation's done that with Kodak, KODK in the past. Right? Andrea calling out the CERE trade breaking out over 29 right now, so that one's still in play. All right, cool. My XELA is chopping around too. I'm not going to put that on our main list. I'm in that trade right now from 191. So, hey, if that breakdown happened after the meeting started, I probably would have added it to our list because all of us would have had a great chance to jump in on that stock. I mean, once it dropped down there for us in Cyber Group, I told you folks that I was in that trade, but I don't know if there's going to be a great entry on this stock going forward right now. SoFi breaking lower, SOFI. Oh man, this is getting clobbered. This was also one from the morning that we were looking at. It was up big, I think, and then ended up dropping off right away. I mean, hey, I don't know if you can get the shares to short, but I'll add this to our list. It's hard to borrow on TradeStation, but for right now, I'll definitely add this to our list given the recent breakdown here, the volatility off it. All right, cool, folks. So I'll bring up Bitcoin in just a second, but to wrap things up so far, we got 2, 4, 6, 8 stocks on our main watch list so far. Alex P, welcome aboard, Alex P, live on YouTube. He's asking a quick question here. What's your number one pick for tomorrow? So that's not what we do here, unfortunately, Alex. I wish I had a crystal ball, and I wish I could, tell you that. If there's anyone that tells you that, they either have a different strategy that relates towards swing trading, overnight moves, but otherwise, with day trading here, there's nothing that I could tell you that is going to come out tomorrow morning with news at 8 o'clock. We can't predict that type of, forecast, right? But in terms of following us live inside our trading room, at least for all of us there, we were following MRIN with that going into the close at the highs. We were saying, hey, there's a very good chance that stock can make a very big run into the after hours, and it did. So those are things that we could try and project in the very short term. But otherwise, though, he's laughing. He says, gotcha, no problem there. Hey, as long as you know, that's all. And I say that not just to you, but to all of us on social media joining us perhaps for the first time or just as a newcoming member to our audience. All right. I'll tell you, though, that just about wraps it up on the stock side. Let me break out Bitcoin quick here. I didn't show it from yesterday, so I told you I was going to get to it really quick. If you're disinterested in crypto, you could jump off this call right now or jump off this stream. If you're interested in joining us live, though, you could sign up for our trial going right down to the link on the banner below of the stream just to sign up. For all of us interested in Bitcoin and perhaps the blockchain Bitcoin mining affiliated stocks like Riot, Mara, Cannon, hey, those ended up making big moves yesterday, or more so this morning, I should say. Ended up beginning to bounce from the last week or so from the 500 EMA as it crashed down. What was it? I forgot the exact day here. What day was this? From the 21st, back from Monday of last week, that was. So that was really early in the morning, and that's what I was commenting on back from Friday of last week. So at the end of last week, I was saying, for as much as it dropped, it ended up bouncing off that really, strong EMA, the 500 here on the daily, and made a sharp bounce up after. One thing to keep in mind, I don't have this up here to show you right now, but actually, you know what? Give me a second. I got a quick moment here. For my student Jason, who I'm doing a one-on-one session with at 3 o'clock, I told him already. I said, just be prepared for a very late send here coming up. So with that, I'll show you this here quickly, and I'll wrap it up from here. So Bitcoin, a large amount of shorts covered over the last 2 weeks. And that's why I was more bullish on this, over the last week or so. I mean, the shorts increased, back from June 25th going into the end of the week. But then here into yesterday, they all covered again. And I'm more so talking actually about here from June 18th, 19th, 20th. This is all short and long activity. So, I mean, it's not a direct correlation with price, mind you, but it's pretty interesting here that shortly after the shorts covered, this is ultimately where Bitcoin bounced from, the 500 EMA, 29.43. So with that, as long as the shorts don't continue to increase their position, I'm pretty led to believe that we'll happen to see Bitcoin begin to move back up gradually over time. Now, to what degree? We'll take it day by day, like I always say there. But we ended up seeing a nice move up early in the morning, way before pre-market, going into the open today. So with that, we ended up seeing Riot explode after the market opened up since had pulled back. Mara, same move, pretty much. And then the Cannon trade, not as directly correlated with Riot and Mara. It will make a similar move, not as direct compared to those two, but I mean, hey, this is at the low of the day right now, actually, and it's shortable. So, if Bitcoin does drop off, perhaps consider shorting Cannon into the close. But, for right now, I think that we'll keep our list as is. Andrea says, I could trade this MRIN trade all day. That's exactly why I just said that. We have a pretty strong list at this point between the MRIN trade, PBTS, BSQR, and, all the others. All right. Man, where is the end on this trade? Holy smokes. Is this all-time highs? This has to be all-time highs at this point, right? I mean, I think we were talking about that yesterday, right? Let's just see. It's a software company, so I don't know how long they've been around. No, nowhere close to all-time highs. Wow, going back from like 2015, 2014, you would think from like the last few weeks, months, looking at that picture on the daily chart that would have been all-time highs. I mean, either way, it's incredible to see a stock explode like this, back-to-back days of over 100% gain. But even taking a look on the monthly chart, perhaps we could forecast a historical level. Let's look at the low here, 1764, the low. Completely spitballing right now. 1806 the high here, 1785 the high the next day. So it wasn't really that 64 price. Maybe it's a little bit higher. That's 1813. Roughly around 18. A little bit under 18 perhaps. 18 perhaps a little bit under. I would expect for there to be a historical level. Otherwise, I mean, what's this high? Yeah, 1545 long. I mean, it's actually right there now, right? I mean, I think it popped up a little bit more, right? It was up towards 16 earlier, but it's back towards this peak back from 2017, 1545. If the stars really align and this keeps going, perhaps 18 could be the next historical level. I don't know, just shooting from the hip there quickly on the monthly. All right, for all of us on social media, Facebook Live, YouTube, I got to jump off right now, but make sure that if you haven't had the chance already to like, subscribe, and hit the notify button right on our YouTube stream, YouTube channel there, youtube.com/cybertradingu. Otherwise, like I said before, if you haven't had the chance to join us live inside our trading room, Cyber Group, feel free to go right down to the link on the banner below just to get yourself started. And for all of us there, I know that Rich will jump on pretty shortly from now for about 30 minutes. I'll be back on right after my coaching session here at 3:30 Eastern, taking us into the close. Take care.